Hey guys, and welcome to On the Rack, the show where I find animated films on the bargain racks of various used gaming and or video stores, or as is the case last time, on their way to the garbage, and review them before I know anything about them, apart from what is written in their synopsis. Now there is a chance that I might eventually find a movie that's worth watching, but I highly doubt that that is the case today. Just like last time, I am going to read the back of this film before I review it. I know nothing about it except what is written on the case. It is called A Fishtail, and I found it at a used gaming store where there were many terrible looking animated films. This one won because it has Alan Rickman in it, and that is weird. So the back says, Fly, Stella, and Chuck set off on a fishing trip that takes a crazy turn when they find themselves in cranky Professor Matt Krill's mysterious laboratory. The professor is working on a potion that will make it possible for humans to live underwater, but when Stella accidentally drinks the potion, she becomes the first test subject. Transformed into a starfish, Stella relies on Fly and Chuck to drink the potion too, and come rescue her before it's too late. How do you accidentally drink something? Says that the widescreen version presented to preserve the aspect ratio of its original television exhibition, enhanced for widescreen TVs. So this was actually a television movie, which doesn't surprise me looking at the animation there. I don't know if you can see it. I don't think my camera is focusing. It doesn't look good. So unlike the last movie that we watched, this one was not released in theaters, which is always a good sign. It says on the back there's some praise, a cheery animated film from BBC Films, and takes us into a wonderland of the ocean floor from Cinephile, who also says it's fish-tastic. Yeah. It is 77 minutes long, so at least it's short. It's not even an hour and a half long. And the front says, a potion put them in the ocean. That rhymes. So I'm going to watch this, and then I will be back to share my findings. Okay then.
We've got to get in there. Quick.
The fuck did this DVD art come from?
Lately, when I'm staring out of my window, when I rest my head on my pillow, I just think of all the things that I need to be. You say that I gotta live up to your reasons. You're always coming up with new ones, and all these expectations are crashing down on me. But darling, can't you see? I may talk a little too much, I may get a little out of touch. I'm a little crazy and I'm not around enough. I may play a little too rough, I may get a little bit wound up. I'm a little lazy and I tend to interrupt. But lately I've been thinking that it's you that doesn't measure up.
This movie follows Fly, Stella, and Chuck. When Fly and Stella's parents go out for the evening, their aunt comes over to watch them along with their cousin Chuck. Chuck is a smart and overly cautious warrior, and Fly is outgoing and jumps into situations without thinking, so naturally they butt heads right off the bat. Stella is just the cute kid character. That's about it. When their aunt falls asleep, Fly decides to sneak out to go fishing, because that's what all you young people are doing these days, and forces Chuck to go with him. He also brings his little sister along, because what older brother wouldn't want to sneak out with their very young sibling? Their fishing trip is cut short when the tide rises, and as they're escaping, they find themselves falling into the secret lab of a scientist working on a potion to turn people into fish. Stella accidentally swallows the potion when no one's looking, and after a few awkward cuts, Fly just decides the only course of action is to go after her. After nearly drowning himself, Chuck is forced to take the potion as well, and everyone just assumes the professor is dead. They're not all that broken up about it either. Meanwhile, Joe, voiced by Alan Rickman, discovers the antidote and takes it to become more intelligent. It's up to Fly, Stella, and Chuck to get the antidote back and take it before they turn into fish permanently. So, before I go into all the reasons this movie is terrible, a runner-up. This movie is a musical. Although saying a poorly made animated film is a musical at this point is like saying Looney Tunes was a little bit racist. Or some people like Star Wars.
Of course it's a musical.
To be fair though, at least they composed their own songs for this film, unlike Animals United, which I expect just used songs they found in the public domain. Oh yeah, during that gag on the last video, I accidentally really threw that movie away.
Well, you get my point.
So, on with the countdown. The first terrible thing about this movie is the freaking DVD art. Seriously, what is this? I mean, I know a lot of films use special art on their DVD cases, but usually when films do that, it's meant to be better than the art in the film, or at least more painterly or dramatic, and also not in a completely different animation style. What person thought making the movie look like a bad CG film would help it? Seriously, these characters don't even look like the characters in the movie. Is this like some weird backwards attempt at false advertising? I could take any still from the film and it would make a better cover. This is a weird thing to fail at, guys. The second terrible thing about this movie is the flawed logic. I'm not just talking about the writing here, although the logic in the writing is relatively skewed and does rely heavily on coincidence, as is generally the case in poorly written films, but also the logic of every character in the movie. For instance, Fly and Chuck are written to be opposites, right? So it would be logical to assume that they would play off of each other in this adventure, slowly learn from each other, eventually play off of their strengths and weaknesses. That is what a good movie does. But this movie is so weird about it. For about 2/3 of the film, Fly, despite the fact that he's meant to be written as an impulsive character, comes up with all of the plans and is the only character forwarding the plot. Wouldn't it make more sense if the brainy kid was trying to think his way out of things and Fly continued to just jump into things? Why is he trying to trick the guard? Why is he the one trying to remake the potion? Why is he coming up with a plan to scare the octopus?
You stupid, stupid fish!
Stupid fish?
Fly, what are you doing?
I'm using my brain. For once.
Clearly, you've been thinking this whole time. Then, in the last third of the film, Chuck, who does nothing for the whole movie, is the one who is suddenly doing everything. Or how about this one? Why did Alan Rickman fish? Yeah, no, that's what I'm going to call him because Joe is a weird name for a fish villain. Why did Alan Rickman fish decide to capture these kids, assuming they knew about the potion just because Fly tried to take it from him? Also, what is his plan? I mean, this is all we get from him.
From now on, I call the shots. With this brain power, I can have fame, fortune, servants.
So how does making all of the fish in the ocean intelligent make you rich and powerful? I mean, it clearly backfires on him because bigger and stronger fish also become intelligent and try to take over, and yet he is still trying to get the potion right up to the very end of the movie, after both of his muscle characters turn on him. Dude, what is your plan? Because I really don't see what can be gained from this. It's not like the intelligence wears off. It doesn't. It's established that the more a fish drinks, the more they become human. He's not trying to become human, and the stuff doesn't wear off, so I don't see why he wants the potion so bad. Oh wait, I see. I'm not supposed to ask. I'm just supposed to assume you're evil because you're wearing lipstick and sound like Alan Rickman. And that's just the beginning of the weird logic in this movie.
I gotcha! You put me down! It's me, you idiot!
Get the potion.
Is that you, Fly? No. No good.
Seriously, your plan is to check every fish in the ocean in case it's your kid. I'm having a really hard time believing this guy has a PhD in anything.
Are you feeling alright?
Oh man, this is great! We can make the antidote ourselves! All the ingredients are underwater!
Oh, really? First, we need to find all the ingredients, then backtrack about 50 miles. We're 8 inches long, have only half a day left, and it's impossible!
You're forgetting something.
What's that?
The Force is with us!
And the last reason this movie is terrible is because it will traumatize your kids. Now, there were a lot of things I was trying to keep track of while watching this movie, as I was deciding on the 3 worst things about it. And then I got to the ending, and, well, okay. You know how Disney villains often die in horrific ways? Well, there's always one thing these endings have in common. The hero is usually not responsible for murdering the villain. This movie? Well, here, watch.
Can you tell me what the square root of 6,561 is?
300 divided by 40 minus 3 is... 81!
Yeah, but do you know what happens if an object travels at the speed of light?
It turns into pure energy.
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
It depends on the relative amount of molecules in the universe.
What happens to a fish if he drinks too much antidote?
It becomes human.
Can a human breathe underwater?
Of course not.
You just killed a man.
I don't care if he started out as a fish. He was a person when you murdered him. You drowned a person. And you don't seem bothered by it. That is messed up. And that's not the only thing that's messed up about the ending to this movie. You know that cliche where the film pretends the hero is dead, but ta-da, he really isn't? Even good movies do that sometimes. Well, this film is the equivalent of that awkward family member who takes a joke way too far until everyone in the room is uncomfortable.
Talk to me, Fly. Say something. Don't do this to me. Oh no. Fly. Don't give up, okay? Do something. Make a new potion.
I'm sorry. It's too late. I warned him, but he didn't listen.
No, a time machine. You have to have a time machine, right? I mean, turn back the clock before the sunset. No! No, it's not too late! If we just substitute an acid instead of an alkaline and... Oh, Fly! Fly, are you okay, Fly?
Charles.
No, stay away from me!
Charles, here, let me.
No!
What?
I feel like I need a separate list just for this one scene. Screw it. Here are the 3 reasons why this scene is terrible. 1. This fish is clearly not this fish. That's cheap, movie. That's a cheap cop-out. 2. This kid is supposed to be intelligent. He's shown to be at least as intelligent as the professor with a PhD, and yet he cannot tell that he is holding a fake fish with writing on it. I went to art school. I know basically nothing about marine biology, but I know the difference between a stuffed fish and a real fish. And 3, this is traumatizing for all the wrong reasons. But Danny, you say, what are the right reasons to traumatize a child? Do not get me wrong, I have no problem with dark elements in children's films, but they should serve a purpose. They should either add to the story or serve as a method to emphasize the threat of a situation in contrast to the reward of overcoming it. As the late, great Terry Pratchett said about Neil Gaiman's Coraline, when I read the book, I remembered that children's tales are indeed where true horror lives. My childhood nightmares would have been quite featureless without the imaginings of Walt Disney, and there are a few little details concerning black button eyes that make a small part of the adult brain want to go and hide behind the sofa. But the purpose of the book is not the horror, it is the horror's defeat. When a good children's movie goes to dark places, it understands that the darkness is a tool to make that moment when the hero succeeds all the more satisfying. And while not all films balance this as well as others, most movies manage to not completely traumatize its viewers. If kids were to watch this movie, they wouldn't even make it to the reveal. They'd be bawling their heads off long before they find out that it's a fake out. In fact, any decent parent would probably stop the film at this moment because seriously, that's messed up. So those are your 3 reasons why this movie is terrible. Yet another film that should go in the garbage. For real. I'm not going to actually do it though. Still need to get the footage from it. Yeah. Okay, closer.
You think you can just swim up to a huge octopus?
Are you guys fighting or just disgusting?